You know how we picture criminal masterminds? We think their stories are forged in fire and shadow, some kind of grand, terrible destiny. But what if the real story is quieter, a lot more pathetic? Well, in this explainer, we're going to flip that script. We're stepping into that reality, your reality.
And this quote right here, it just says it all, doesn't it? Forget the dramatic origin story. Your birth isn't some dark omen. It's just another Tuesday in a hospital where everything is cold and loud and, honestly, a little disappointing.
All right, let's start where it all begins. And this isn't about some big evil moment. It's about a silent, growing emptiness. So the signs were there, really early on. When you're 6, you dissect a frog in class. It's not scary or gross, it's just satisfyingly organized. Then at 8, you shove another kid's face into a birthday cake. Not to be funny, but because you genuinely want to know if candles can burn in frosting. By 16, you're found pulling apart a dead bird, not out of cruelty, but just pure cold curiosity.
And all these little moments start to build into this one really simple, really chilling rule in your head. People are just puzzles. And what are puzzles for? Well, they're meant to be solved, to be taken apart.
Okay, so we're moving on now. This is where that detached curiosity starts to become a conscious, calculated act of deception. This is where you forge the mask.
And here it is, your teenage life. On the outside, you look like a model of control, right? Your locker is pristine, your room is spotless. But what's really going on inside? Well, you're not an engaged student. You're just studying the rules of being human so you can fake it better. And that interest in biology? Yeah, that's really about memorizing human anatomy for a much, much darker purpose.
College basically becomes your personal laboratory. Your first real experiment on a stray cat is just sloppy. A total mistake that almost gets you caught. And that teaches you a brutal lesson. Your own curiosity can get you killed. So you burn your notes. You start over, smarter, colder. You even test your new self-control by finding another predator on campus, a reckless one, and you tip off the police anonymously. You just watch from your dorm room as he gets arrested. You're learning.
And that brings us to this, your first kill. But get this, it's not what you think. It's not a body, it's a reputation. It's the cold, methodical takedown of a competitor just to prove you're superior. And to you, it feels exactly the same.
So, you've graduated. You've gone from amateur to professional. The mask is now perfect, and the real work can finally begin.
And this is the result of all that effort. At 28, you've achieved perfect camouflage. You've got the job, the car, the LinkedIn profile. You're not strange. You're not memorable. You're just that quiet guy from accounting, the polite neighbor nobody really thinks about. You are utterly, completely invisible.
And being invisible is your superpower. It lets you turn your work into a cold, technical procedure, not some messy crime of passion. You pick a target not because you hate her, but because her routine has a flaw. Headphones in always takes the same route. You've analyzed everything, the broken security camera, that gate that never quite locks. The act itself is silent, it's efficient, and afterwards, you don't feel a thrill, you don't feel guilt. You just feel aligned, like putting a puzzle piece in its proper place.
So years go by, the procedure gets refined, more perfect. And this brings us to the point where that control, it starts to grow into a dangerous kind of pride.
Once, maybe twice a year. That's it. This isn't a frenzy. This isn't some uncontrollable urge. You see yourself as a surgeon. You're disciplined, you're purposeful, and you are never, ever sloppy.
And here's where that ego really starts to show. You create this encrypted digital archive. Why? Not to confess, oh no. It's to document your art. It's a record of your perfection. Because deep down, you want someone someday to understand how superior you were. But as the source material warns us, there's a fatal flaw in building your own myth. When you start to believe your own legend, you start to feel untouchable. And that, right there, is where everything begins to unravel.
So you'd think your downfall would be this huge, dramatic thing, right? A brilliant detective, a high-speed chase. No, it's going to be something far, far more pathetic.
So, the crack begins.
Not with a bloody fingerprint or a forgotten weapon,
but with trash. A single, crumpled gas station receipt that fell behind your desk. And you won't believe the almost comical chain of events that brings it all down.
A really thorough cleaning lady finds the receipt. She gives it to her landlord, who's kind of obsessive. He just happens to notice the date and location match a story in the news. So he gives it to the police, who, just doing their jobs, run the timestamp. And just like that, years of meticulous planning are completely undone by a piece of garbage.
The end is just as mundane as the beginning. It happens on a Tuesday morning, probably while you're out buying milk. There's no chase, there's no dramatic showdown, just the quiet, boring click of handcuffs.
Which brings us to the very end. What happens after the mastermind is caught? What's the legacy? And here is the final, crushing irony. The myth you tried so hard to build, well, it lives on. In documentaries and podcasts, people debate you, they analyze you, they turn you into this misunderstood genius or this absolute monster. But the reality? Oh, the reality is so much smaller. You're just a number in a concrete box. Your grand finale is a quiet stroke in the middle of the night. Your ashes go unclaimed. Your legend becomes a Wikipedia page.
So after all of that, the meticulous planning, the cold calculation, the self-made myth of the mastermind, what's really left? What remains when the myth is finally gone?